Hi, in this video we are going to talk about loops. So what is a loop? So loops are mainly used for one purpose, which is to repeat your commands. So there are two types of loops. One is called a for loop and one is called a while loop. So for loop, we also call them counter controlled loop. You usually know how many times it's going to repeat. So let's say you know you are going to repeat doing something 5 times, you would use a for loop. While loop, we also call them sentinel control. That means the number of repetitions is determined during runtime. So when you're writing the codes, you may not know how many times it repeats. It may depend on some user inputs. So let's talk about for loop first. So if you want to ask user to enter 5 days pay and display the total, so this is the first pay, then we repeat enter pay, second pay, enter pay, user enter third pay, the fourth time and the fifth time, and you add up all these together and you tell them you have earned $350 this week. So we can actually do this without a loop. We can do this, create a variable, set it to 0 initially, then we ask the user enter pay, so the user enter 50, we change it into a float value because we need to do some summation, and we add it to total. So plus equals means add this value into total. So initially it's 0, you add 50, is now 50. Then you repeat, asking them for the second time, which they enter 100, and you add 100 into the total. Then you repeat the third time, the fourth time, and the fifth time. After that, because you keep adding into total will have the total value added up, and you print you have earned so much, which is 350 for this example. So this is how we can do without a loop, but we realize we are actually doing something repetitive. So we repeat doing this thing 1 2 3 4 5. We repeat doing it 5 times. We can actually use a loop to reduce our codes. So repeat 5 times. How can we use a loop to do it? We know this is the instruction that will repeat 5 times, so we type out this instruction and we put a for loop. So this is called a for loop. We use this to tell them we are going to repeat 5 times. So first thing you need to remember is for is the command. So the syntax, that means the way it's written, is fixed. Okay, so first thing you put a for keyword which don't change. This I is a variable. We may or may not use it, but you need to declare it. So we give it a name, we give it the name I. So I is a variable. In is fixed. And range tells us how many times you're going to repeat. So we put range and we put 5. 5 means what? 5 means you need to repeat 5 times. So range 5 repeats 5 times. So when they go through here, they will repeat 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times before they come out. And this is the next statement. So after the 5 times, you will get the user to enter the 5 pays, and you keep adding on to total. Eventually you will still get the total. You have earned 350 for this week. So this is how we use a for loop to repeat something 5 times. So imagine if you want to repeat something 1000 times, you can't write 1000 statements here, but you can simply use a for loop and put 1000 here. It will repeat for you 1000 times. Then you might be wondering, then why do we need this I? So what is this I variable? When do we use it? Do we really need it? Depends on what we are doing. We may or may not use it. So in this case, for our simple example, we didn't use it. So you still need to declare, but you don't use it. Let's see how it works, and then we see how we can use it. So how does this I work? So if we do a simple example, we put a for loop. So this is fixed for I in range 5. We know this is going to repeat 5 times. So we just put a very simple one to print out what is this I value when it's repeating this 5 times. And you realize that the I value initially is 0. Then it moves on to 1, then it moves on to 2, 3, 4. So it repeats 5 times. While it's repeating, it's increasing its value by 1 every time. So every time it repeats, the value increment by 1. So how can we use this I value? So this number comes in handy in some occasion. So we just put one example. It is the same example previously, but we changed it slightly a bit. So we ask the user to enter the pay, but we specify the value of I here. So enter pay for day something, which is the I value. So initially I is 0, enter pay for day 0. The next time you repeat, it will say enter pay for day 1. So when you're repeating, you can actually put the day number inside your statement. So this is what you will see. Enter pay for day 0, enter pay for day 1. So this is one simple example whereby you can use this I value to print out the days or the number of repetition. So this thing goes from 0 to 4. If I want to display 1 to 5 instead of 0 to 4, can I do it? Yes, you can. You rewrite the same codes. I is going from 0 to 4, but if you want to print out this value from 1 to 5, then you simply put I plus 1. So when I is 0, you plus 1 is 1, and you put 1 inside. So when I goes to 0 to 4, you are printing 1 to 5. So note, for for loop, we use a counter to control the number of repetitions. So in this example, the counter is I, right? We have an I that counts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and stop. That's why we call it a counter control loop. And when do you know when to stop? It's determined by this value 5 here. So for range, it will count the variable I from 0 to a value just before 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and stop before 5. So it starts from 0, keeps repeating as long as the I is less than 5. And every time it repeats, it adds 1 to the I value. So range 5 does this everything automatically internally for us. So it's easy for us to just put a range and repeat the number of times. This is the end of this simple video on introduction for loop. If it is helpful for you, please help to like this video. Thank you.